Can Manchester City keep their title charge up? They go to Chelsea on Sunday. Chelsea hit Port Vale for 7 in the FA Cup last weekend. Arguably the right opposition at the perfect time for Liam Rosenior's men after what's been a shaky couple of weeks off the field. But Tolu, can they use that thrashing of Port Vale as a springboard for Premier League success at the weekend?
Oh, it's going to be difficult. City love to play Chelsea. Obviously, I didn't even realize that. They're unbeaten in 9 matches against Chelsea. They've won 4 of the last 5 fixtures against the Blues. And when you look at the way Chelsea play against City, you feel like they've got a chance every time. But City somehow do manage to get over the line. And I think some of the comments that have come out of the Chelsea camp, especially during the international window, and then there was talk around Liam Rosenior suspending Enzo Fernandez, which was a power play in some ways. I didn't think he needed to suspend him. I think he could have had a talk, maybe got him to apologize to the rest of the group. But I wasn't particularly sold on suspending one of your best players, which, hey, you don't know how he's going to react after that. It could be positive, especially against a team like City. But I think it's going to be very, very difficult, especially now. Chelsea thought they were maybe out of those Champions League, were under pressure to get into those Champions League places because we thought it was probably going to be the top 4. But Arsenal's win in the Champions League confirming that the top 5 will get into it. They just are 1 point off Liverpool, who are in 5th. So that means that, and if you look at just how tight it is between 4th all the way to 8th, if Chelsea lose the game at City and everyone around them gets points, they could drop to as low as 8th. So they know it's an absolutely pivotal game for them to win. City, on the other hand, Dan, they do know that this is the game that Arsenal fans, when they looked at the fixtures side by side and were ticking games that they thought City would drop points, this is one of them. It's almost like the game at Liverpool where City somehow found their form and won that game. I think City probably can do that against this Chelsea team. But whoever loses this game, it's a must not lose, if I can put it that way, for both teams. Chelsea cannot afford to lose it. It's going to heap a lot of pressure on their young manager and their hopes of getting into the Champions League next season, which looks almost like the minimum requirement now for Liam Rosenior. And for Pep Guardiola, you could say that City maybe they've already won a trophy in the Carabao Cup into the semi-finals of the FA Cup, where they incidentally will be playing Chelsea again. It's almost like, even though it sounds pretty weird, it's almost going to be disastrous if Chelsea lose it and if City do.
Well, let's look at Manchester City because it feels so long ago since their back-to-back league draws. Obviously, since then, they've won the League Cup and got the better of Liverpool in the FA Cup last weekend. So 2 draws in a row. They can't afford to make it 3, regardless of what Arsenal do, because they need to be eating into that points gap as much as possible.
Yes, and every time City players were asked about the lead to Arsenal, they always referred to the game at the Etihad, saying if we win that, the gap is 3 points. But they have to win the game against Chelsea to be assured that if they beat Arsenal next week, the gap could go to potentially 3 points. Like you said, 2 draws before the run of cup games, but the cup games will have done their confidence a whole lot. Look, if you beat teams like Arsenal and Liverpool in cup competitions, the one-off games, it does a lot to really boost your confidence. And the truth is, it wasn't like they struggled in both games. They totally dominated both teams on both occasions. So that's a psychological edge for City already. They outplayed us in the second half in the Carabao Cup. Liverpool didn't stand a chance at the Etihad in the FA Cup, never looked in trouble throughout that. So if you take that from those 2 games, you probably look at Chelsea and feel sorry for them already, because if City continue to play that way, they're probably going to dismantle this Chelsea team. But I've still got my doubts around them. This City team still look like one that are capable of dropping the odd point here and there, like we saw just before that Carabao Cup run when they went to West Ham United, were fighting for their lives and couldn't win the game. So they also drop points to Forest at home. So it's a bit of a slippery slope, to be honest. You do know that if City turn up with a team that has done it in the last 2 fixtures, they can go to Chelsea and win. But there's always that feeling that once you feel this City team are picking up a bit of momentum, they do have the odd bad result in them. Could this be the weekend? You never know.
Well, on the plus side for Manchester City, it feels like Erling Haaland has awoke from his slumber. That hat-trick against Liverpool was almost the Haaland of old. Not that he's had a bad season, but the levels he set himself, you thought this is the Haaland that burst onto the English scene. So how timely is that comeback of form going to be for City at the weekend?
Oh, it's going to be very massive. I think we all agreed that part of the reason why City were that far behind from Arsenal was because of the drop in form for Erling Haaland. You felt like we always thought that if he got injured, what would happen to City? But I don't think anybody foresaw that he could hit a bit of a bad patch that he hit from, I think, around end of January all the way to March. I don't think we all saw that coming. And if you look at the points gap in the Premier League, he coincided with the time when Arsenal did pull away from City a bit. So I think it's a welcome thing for City that Haaland is back scoring. But again, those goals have come in the cup. Look, against the Chelsea team, Chelsea have a setup that can worry this Manchester City team for sure, especially at Stamford Bridge. And if City are going to stand a chance, they've got to take their chances. And with Antoine Semenyo, who has done a great job since coming in the January window, he's almost been like the Julian Alvarez to Erling Haaland, that partnership that was for City a few years ago almost feels very symbiotic at the moment. When Haaland isn't scoring, Semenyo is scoring. When Semenyo isn't scoring, Haaland will probably also score. So I think it's important to get your talisman on the scoring again. And I think City will be very delighted that he got a hat-trick against Liverpool. I was shocked that he played almost the entirety of that game, because I thought when the game was won, maybe Guardiola would have wanted to take him off a lot earlier. But that showed you that they really wanted him to get into the flow of things. They were not going to take him off. They wanted him to get into that goal-scoring groove. I think they're going to need him for the running. It's going to be very interesting to see how he plays against Chelsea, because look, man for man, you expect that he's going to dominate those Chelsea centre-backs. So if anywhere Chelsea is suspect this season, it's at centre-back. And firing Haaland, you probably would bet your money on him scoring against Chelsea.
Well, the reverse fixture was a draw earlier in the season. Tolu, with your betting cap on, will it be more of the same at the weekend?
Oh, look, I looked at the odds, and obviously City are the favourites, but it's still a big payday both ways, whether you go for the Chelsea win or City win. I would go a City win, to be honest. I think they've shown that they've come to their own at the best time. Look, you don't beat Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final and take Liverpool up. Forget about Liverpool's problems and take Liverpool apart in the way that they did in the FA Cup and not fancy them against Chelsea. I think Chelsea will go for it, but I think the inexperience of those Chelsea players, they might get the approach wrong. They can't afford to go gung-ho against City, which is what I think they'll do at Stamford Bridge, because they absolutely also need to win. And I think the fact that Chelsea also need to win will play into City hands. I think City will win. That's what I would go for. And because of the way Erling Haaland responded against Liverpool and the suspicion I have around those Chelsea defenders, especially with Chalobah in the back line, they're not bad defenders. But I think one-on-one with Erling Haaland, I think he has a massive chance of scoring if City win. So I'd probably go City win. Then I probably would also go Haaland to score.
Well, a City win will keep the title race alive and set up next week's clash with Arsenal very nicely indeed. And Tolu, I will see you next week as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Dan.